In a world where everyone screams to be seen, some people choose silence. We live in an age where attention is currency. Every moment turned into content. Every feeling filtered for approval. Happiness is posted. Grief is shared. Meals are framed. Even our pets have their own audiences. Yet somewhere in this endless noise, there are a few who move quietly, watching, listening, never performing. They leave no digital footprints, no stories, no traces, just shadows that scroll. And that's what makes them unsettling. Because in a culture obsessed with visibility, choosing invisibility feels unnatural, almost rebellious. Why would someone vanish in a world built on attention? What are they hiding? Or maybe, what have they discovered that the rest of us haven't? By the end of this video, you'll understand why some people don't disappear because they're afraid. They disappear because they figured something out about human nature that most never do. Invisibility isn't about running away, it's about taking control. In a digital world that rewards exposure, silence becomes a form of resistance. While most people are trapped in the endless cycle of posting, reacting, and refreshing, some have quietly stepped outside the loop. They've realized something powerful, that the moment you stop performing, you start living. Society glorifies visibility. It tells us that to matter, we must be seen, that our worth depends on engagement, likes, comments, reach. But those who step back know the truth. Visibility often comes with a cost, the slow erosion of authenticity. They're not avoiding connection, they're escaping the performance trap. Every post, every caption, every perfect moment shared becomes another small act of self-curation. And they're done curating. The silent ones aren't lost. They're the quiet observers, the ones who see without announcing, who understand without needing to prove. They watch how everyone scrambles for attention and wonder, when did we start mistaking noise for meaning? If you're someone who's ever felt this quiet pull away from the noise, you might want to subscribe, because what comes next might describe you better than you think. These people haven't vanished. They've simply chosen a different kind of presence, one that doesn't rely on validation, but on awareness. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's power, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Every time you post something and someone taps that little heart, your brain lights up. A tiny hit of dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure, reward, and addiction. It feels harmless at first, but over time, it rewires your brain. You begin to crave that validation loop. Likes, comments, reactions, not because you care about them, but because your mind has been trained to. You start thinking in captions instead of thoughts, living for the next notification instead of the moment you're in. But those who stop posting, they're breaking that cycle. They're not bored with social media, they're detoxing from it. Their silence is a form of dopamine fasting, a psychological reset. When they stop chasing digital applause, their brain slowly reclaims its balance. They find satisfaction in experiences again, not reactions. It's not easy to disconnect from something designed to keep you hooked. But those who do start to notice a shift, colors seem sharper, time feels slower, and thoughts become their own again. They're not being controlled by algorithms. They're controlling their attention. And in a world where attention is the most valuable currency, that's the ultimate freedom. But here's the twist. This isn't just discipline, it's evolution. Because the people who can silence their need for validation aren't falling behind. They're becoming the next version of human, one that thrives without applause. Social media doesn't just connect us, It distorts us. Every post becomes a mirror, reflecting not who we are, but who we want to be seen as. Over time, those reflections start to replace reality. You begin to measure your worth by how your life looks on a screen instead of how it feels when you live it. But the ones who stay invisible, they've seen through the illusion. They understand a quiet truth psychologists call psychological ownership, the sense that certain memories, moments, and emotions belong deeply to you. The second you share them, that ownership fades. A private experience becomes public property, open to judgment, distortion, or misunderstanding. That's why the invisible ones guard their silence like a fortress. They don't fear being unseen. They fear being misunderstood. They've learned that privacy isn't isolation, it's protection, a shield that keeps the most sacred parts of their life untouched by opinion. In a world obsessed with exposure, their invisibility isn't absence, it's intention. Every unposted thought, every unseen smile, every unshared memory becomes their quiet rebellion. And if you listen closely, you'll realize something haunting. Their silence is often louder than the world's noise. There was a time when sharing felt natural, like opening a window and letting light in. Every photo, every caption, every moment posted was meant to express something genuine. But over time, that light began to fade. People started sharing not to connect, but to perform. And when every smile, every thought, every perfect moment had to be filtered and captioned, something real got lost in translation. This is emotional fatigue, the quiet exhaustion that comes from performing happiness. It's the invisible weight of needing validation for your existence. Many who once posted daily suddenly disappeared, not because they stopped caring, but because they finally understood the cost of always being seen. They didn't quit for attention. They quit for peace, for the freedom to live moments without proof, to laugh without needing an audience, to feel without curating it. Invisibility became healing, not as an escape, but as a return. The art of existing without applause. And maybe that's the real rebellion in this digital age. Not saying more, but saying nothing at all. Reflection. Have you ever deleted a post because it didn't feel right? Or stayed quiet because it felt safer than being seen? In a world built on likes, followers, and algorithms, those who stay invisible operate differently. Their worth isn't dictated by numbers. It's anchored within. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control, the power to find value and direction from one's inner compass rather than external applause. While many perform to be noticed, they live to be real. Their sense of self isn't built on reactions, but reflections. They don't need validation to feel alive because they've learned the rare art of being content in silence. Imagine a crowded stage, lights blinding, noise everywhere. One by one, some people quietly step down, walk past the curtains, and exhale. They're not gone. They've just stepped off stage to finally breathe. Away from the noise, they rediscover the sound of their own thoughts, the rhythm of real emotion, the calm of unfiltered existence. This is what invisibility gives. Space. Space to think, to heal, to see clearly again. And in that silence, something powerful happens. Awareness deepens. They begin to notice what most scroll past, the subtleties of thought, emotion, and truth that can't fit in a caption. Their silence isn't absence, it's presence, finally reclaimed. When people stop posting, something extraordinary happens. Life begins to slow down. The world that once blurred between swipes and screens suddenly sharpens into focus. Colors feel deeper. Sounds stretch longer. Even silence starts to speak. They no longer rush to document the sunset. They just watch it, They don't pause to take the perfect photo of their meal. They taste it. Life stops being a performance and becomes an experience again. They've shifted from living for proof to living for presence. In a world that rewards visibility, these quiet ones choose depth. They walk slower, notice more, feel fully. They're not missing out. They're tuning in to moments, to sensations, to reality itself. There's something sacred in their stillness, something powerful in their restraint, because when you no longer need to be seen, you finally start seeing. And maybe, deep down, that's what we all crave. Not more followers, but more moments that actually feel alive. If you're still here, maybe you're one of them, the ones who see beauty in silence. Subscribe, because this is just the beginning of understanding that kind of power. So here it is, the truth behind the quiet ones. Being invisible isn't about fear, it's about freedom. In a world addicted to attention, they've broken the loop. They've stopped chasing the echo and started listening to their own voice. They remind us that not everything needs to be seen to be real. Not every moment needs proof. Not every thought needs an audience. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's resistance. A quiet rebellion against the noise, the comparison, the endless need to be on. Because invisibility, at its core, is authenticity. Life lived without performance. And maybe, just maybe, the loudest thing you can do is stay silent. Tell me in the comments, do you think you could stay invisible in today's world?